unsatisfied. I'm quoting Ecclesiastes 5 verse 10 in the Bible. Whoever loves money never has money enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. And that's because of this, that no matter how much money you have, Bill Gates, you can always have more. No matter how much money you have, you can always have more, which means that once your basic needs are met, contentment isn't contingent on how much money you make, which means also that you can be filthy rich and still be just as financially dissatisfied as someone who's middle class. Right? Because you never know when enough is enough. Number 2, we drift from God. We drift from God. And Jesus illustrated how this can happen in Matthew 6, verse 24. No one can serve 2 masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. We drift from God when money is the ultimate in our lives. And number 3, we end up getting ourselves in all kinds of trouble. And this is explained in 1 Timothy 6, verse 10, which, if you wanted to study this more, that would be the chapter I would encourage you to look at. 1 Timothy chapter 6. Verse 10 says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with all kinds of grief." And that phrase, "pierced themselves," basically illustrates to me that when money becomes the ultimate in our lives, we begin to self-destruct. It's like putting your own piercings throughout your body. Eventually, at some point, there's going to be too many piercings to sustain a healthy life. So God's Word teaches that money is not the end, but the reality is we live in a world where for many, money is the end. So the challenge then becomes for River City people, for us, is how do we keep money in perspective? How do we keep things in balance when it comes to this important topic? Well, that passage that I talked about from 1 Timothy 6 gives 3 suggestions. Number 1, just a reality check. Number 1, realize that one day your money will be gone. Not only is wealth uncertain, as we discovered over the past financial quarter or 2, but you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you. I'm sure many of you know children in junior high probably have done projects on the Egyptian pharaohs, and one of the reasons why it's so exciting to go to their tombs is because there's so much wealth there. Because the Egyptian pharaohs believed that you could take your wealth from this life into the next life, and I think it wasn't so much that they believed it, I think they just hoped it. I think they really hoped, I've got a good standard of living here, and if I could just take this into the next life, I'm going to be set. And so their wealth was buried with them. But that doesn't work, does it? Number 2 way to keep things in proper perspective would be this. Learn to have contentment with whatever you have. Now that doesn't mean that you can't work for more. It just means that happiness is about finding contentment, not about generating wealth. Number 3, and this one is huge. This would be the question that I would encourage you to take with you into your week. And the question that has been kind of bombarding and coming up against me all week is this one. Monitor what you're willing to do to get more money. What am I willing to do to get more money? What would I be willing to do to get more money? Now, even though it's the subject of a lot of movies, often featuring Italian mafia, I would trust that most of us, all of us, none of us would be willing to kill someone for $1 million, would they? Don't put your hand up. But what about injure? Would you be willing to injure another human being for a bargain? Now, before you answer that, think about it. Think seriously. Would I be willing to injure another human for money, for a savings? Because if you follow the news, you realize that this exact thing happened. It happened during the American Thanksgiving weekend in California at a Kids R Us, and it happened in New York at a Walmart. Crowds of people were pressing against the doors of a Walmart store for door crasher items, for flat screen TVs and the like. And employees that were responsible for opening those doors at the designated time got trampled, and a 34-year-old temp employee got trampled to death. News reports indicated that hundreds of people stepped on that person to get to their items. Hundreds of people. Do you think that hundreds of people could turn a crowd away and say, stop? This is asinine? News reports also say that when the New York police came to deal with the situation, shoppers were indignant and said that they were just upset because they had to work and they couldn't get these discounts. Just incredible. Would you be willing to injure to get a half-price HD TV for Super Bowl Sunday? Would you lie to get ahead on your taxes? Or on your time card? What about cheat? Let's say you work a till at American Eagle, and an elderly person, I don't think elderly people shop at American Eagle, do they? Would you cheat someone who had bad eyesight of their change? Would you cheat a recent immigrant to Canada because they didn't know the language, and language was a bit of a barrier for them? Would you cheat someone to get ahead? It's amazing what people will do for money. In 1993, there was a movie that caused quite a stir. I don't know if guys and gals went to this movie for date night. It was called Indecent Proposal. And it was based on this question. If someone offered you, you're married, and someone offers you $1 million to sleep with your wife, do you encourage her to do it? Would you sleep with someone if you were married for $1 million? Some people wrestled with it because the movie got awards and lots of people went to it. Many people purchase lottery tickets in the hopes of getting ahead. I have a friend who picks up a few lottery tickets every time the jackpot gets to 10 million or more. And as harmless as it may seem, 1 Timothy chapter 6 would discourage this. The Bible would discourage this. Because it may be harmless to you. I mean, it's not like you're taking out a second mortgage to buy more Lotto 649 tickets, right? It may be harmless to you, but that's not really the point. That's not the point. Let's say you spend only $50 a year on lottery tickets. That would be like 2 lottery tickets a month. Let's say you buy 2 lottery tickets a month. According to Project Hope, which is a Christian charity that works with children in Africa who are orphaned because their parents have died of AIDS. According to Project Hope, $50 provides an orphan student with food for a year. Why hold out on winning the lottery when you can know that you're making an actual difference in a human being's life? I work for myself so I can provide for my needs. I work for my children. I'm even working for my grandchildren. And by way of extension, I'm working for those who are in need and who will never, ever, ever have the opportunities for wealth creation that you and I have in Canada today. There's sound financial wisdom in what Canadian-born financial writer Robert G. Allen wrote. And I'm going to close with this. Money is one of the most important subjects of your entire life. Some of life's greatest enjoyments and most of life's greatest disappointments stem from your decisions about money. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm convinced that if you follow the financial advice from our rock that we've received this morning, that where our money is concerned at least, we'll have more enjoyment in life and much less disappointment. So, save for your future, long-term and short-term. Share money with your family if there's a need. Be careful about borrowing money. Be careful about lending money. Number 5, know that how you handle money is a litmus test for whether you'll get greater assignments. Number 6, once your needs are met, you have an obligation to help meet the needs of others. And then number 7, money itself is not an end.